What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you another video for Michael Bay's Transformers movie. First and foremost, I want to just say Happy New Year to you guys. I hope y'all are having a blessed 2026, and I'm wishing you a successful year going forward. Today, I thought it would be a perfect time to do a follow-up from my Autobot wish list with a Decepticon wish list for this upcoming live-action Transformers film, because they're the bad guys, and they are the enemies of the Autobots, and sometimes they don't get their just due. Like, when exactly have we had a standout character from the Decepticons that actually stays in the spotlight as opposed to getting pushed to the back for the other big baddie that's not really aligned with them? I'd say the last time we had that was back in 2017 when Bumblebee was out, but that was only 2 of them, and as you guys are aware, the Decepticons roll deep, so we want to see them out in full. Now, what I will say is that I feel like we're going to be in good hands in terms of the designs for the Decepticons, because in the last 2 Bay films, we saw that there was a happy medium. Like, they did have a sinister look, but they still looked somewhat proportionate, as opposed to the spiky look that people criticized for the first 3 films. So yeah, I feel like we're gonna get something in the similar vein that we got for Age of Extinction and The Last Night. But anyways, as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm not going to mention characters that I know for sure are gonna make it in, like Megatron and possibly Barricade, among others. I want to focus attention on characters who never got a chance to see the light of day within the live action film verse, because it's pretty much a given that we are going to see some new faces this time around, because that's going to be the thing that sells the toys, right? So yeah, let's focus on the characters who never really got a chance to shine in the previous films. And we're going to start off the list with the Seekers, Thundercracker and Skywarp. 2 characters that already exist in the Bayverse, particularly the tie-in comics. But when I first saw Starscream in the first Transformers 2007 movie, I was under the impression that he would be accompanied by these 2, but Starscream was a loner type seeker, and these guys never really got to see the light of day in any of the Michael Bay movies, so I would love to see them in action. I know that some are going to say that we already had the pleasure of seeing Thundercracker in live action, since he did in fact become Scourge in the G1 cartoon, and we would go on to see him in Rise of the Beast. But at the end of the day, each iteration of a character is very ambiguous. They aren't exactly the same as what we know them to be from the original source material. Other than being Unicron's herald, there was nothing else that indicated that ROTB Scourge was in fact Thundercracker. Not to mention that that particular iteration wasn't even a seeker. So yeah, I would definitely love to see these guys in action and possibly try to get some kind of get back for Starscream, even though they didn't always get along with him. But moving on, the next Decepticon that I think deserves a spot on this list would be Blitzwing, a character who has gotten done dirty twice. Yes, I say twice because if you guys remember back in Revenge of the Fallen, Megatron was given a unique alt mode that made him a triple changer. He was able to transform into a jet and a tank. And if you guys know anything about that alt mode combination, then you know it's always been something that's exclusive to Blitzwing, but for whatever reason, we didn't get a chance to see him in the Bayverse. Fast forward several years, when we actually do get the character in Bumblebee, his name is just slapped onto a random seeker who could have been anybody else, who in my firm belief was originally intended to be Starscream, since they were still going on about connecting these movies to the Bayverse. But unfortunately, if they were to use that particular character, they would have to kill him off and then explain how he was able to come back in Dark of the Moon. I also felt like it was a missed opportunity to include him with his proper alt mode features, since the director and the producers were going on and on about how they were going to be featuring triple changers, but they completely dropped the ball and had the character killed off at the beginning of the movie. So I'm under the impression that there should be a redemption arc for Blitzwing. Like, let's just give him all the things that made him awesome in the G1 cartoon, starting off with a tank and a jet mode combined. Speaking of combining, the next batch of Decepticons I'm going to be featuring on this list are going to consist of sub-factions that all wield the ability to combine. So yeah, I just feel like combiners have that edge, and the Autobots need a big threat that's going to keep them hot on their toes. And the group that I'm going to be mentioning for this Decepticon list is going to be the Stunticons, which are characters and combiners who I strongly believe were intended to be in Transformers Age of Extinction. The reason being is that they were actually Transformers that were created by humans that were also molded in the image of pre-existing characters such as Optimus and Bumblebee. And if you grew up watching the original G1 series, you know they share a similar backstory to those of the actual Stunticons, where Megatron took it upon upon himself to create his own vehicle-based Transformers that could rival the Autobots. And the one leading the charge in this sub-faction would be Motormaster, a Decepticon who's made it his mission to destroy Optimus Prime. Instead of motivating his team and leading with respect like Optimus does for the Autobots, Motormaster does the polar opposite, choosing to lead the Stunticons with fear and abuse, which is why they absolutely abhor him and why there's so much psychological instability once they combine. If you ask me, this guy was originally going to be the leader of the KSI drones, or was clearly referenced before ultimately becoming Galvatron in Age of Extinction, especially with the way he crashes into things. I feel like having him in the movie would fall directly within the formula that Bay has already utilized, where he has a character that's the opposite of Optimus but has similar traits, like we've seen with Sentinel Prime, like we've seen with Megatron in his truck mode from Dark of the Moon, Galvatron, and even though this isn't a movie that was directed by Michael Bay, I would have to include Scourge since he's basically a dark Optimus, and that's essentially what we have here with Motormaster, an evil twisted version of Optimus that loves exploiting the insecurities of his own team to make them perform more efficiently on the battlefield. But anyways, to keep this video from being overly long, I'm not going to just go into detail about the other members. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. They all feature their own key strengths and weaknesses, like I said. But to go down the list, we have Dragstrip, Dead End, Breakdown, and Wild Rider, which all combine to form Minosaur. If you guys remember in my previous video listing all the Autobots that I wished would be in the movie, I featured the Aerial Bots, and the Aerial Bots combine to form Superion. And in the original G1 cartoon, Optimus actually predicted the fact that the Stunticons would combine to form Minosaur, so he decided to grant the Aerial Bots the power to combine to form Superion. But anyways, thanks to the multiple Stunticon components making up his body, Minosaur can perform things like instant speed bursts, he can shoot out energy blasts, which comes courtesy of Motormaster's Cyclone gun. He possesses a massive ionizer sword for heavy damage and can use sheer size for stomps, and if the riders want to, they can do like some of the other versions, which include exchanging limbs for different configurations, allowing for tactical changes. But as I mentioned earlier, since Minosaur is an abusive leader to the other Stunticons and he doesn't quite get along with them, it causes internal conflict to Minosaur. Not to mention that each member has strong, unique personalities that oftentimes clashes, which can make Minosaur erratic and less coordinated. But I would absolutely love to see a giant combiner battle between him and Superion. But anyways, the next character that we have on our list is Six Shot, and the main reason I added him to this list is because I believe it's high time that we actually focus our attention on Six Changers, which are Transformers who feature 6 forms that they can alternate through. And not only does Six Shot's name imply that he can do this, he's actually the first of this particular group. Just imagine being able to combine all of your favorite characters into one. Like take Megatron, who can transform into a handgun, Starscream, who has a jet mode. If you want immense firepower from the ground, you can transform into a tank or an armored carrier. And as an added bonus and ferocity, you have that beast mode. Those are all the things that you get with Six Shot, a Swiss Army knife bot who is a jack of all trades. This is a character that I would love to see translated to the big screen. Like, I would love to see what Michael Bay would do with him, because he's arguably one of the coolest Decepticons that not a lot of casuals know about, and it would be awesome to see him in the movie. But last but certainly not least, we have the behemoth of all Decepticons, Tripticon. This dude is who I've been wanting to see in the live action film verse for the longest time. I would have preferred to see him in the Night verse since I just love his original G1 form, but Michael Bay just has a knack for making sinister things look even more sinister with the scary aesthetics, and I think it would work for this particular character in his movie. This roided up Reptar was originally created out of a human city by the Constructicons, meant to rival that of Metroplex. This guy is extremely powerful and can level entire civilizations, and not only does he hate the Autobots, but he also hates some of his own Decepticon contemporaries, which is a big drawback. But when he is cooperating with his teammates, he can actually transform into an artillery platform where they can essentially man different kind of weapons to thwart off the Autobots. It would also be cool for the producers to take a page out of the War for Cybertron book, where he can be converted or transform into the Decepticon ship, the Nemesis, except this time with full control. And with that, I give you my list of all the Decepticons I want in the movie. I really want these guys to shine, man. I don't want any of these secondary characters within the group to just get overlooked as just these monstrous things without any kind of mind of their own. I actually want them to have their own distinctive personalities and shine on their own, as opposed to just having all that spotlight go to Megatron or whoever else Megatron is going to be serving in the movie. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you like my list? And what are some of the Decepticons you would like to see in the movie? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask you to like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.